Today, we get the cam into that 6.1 Hemi and so much more. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of Project Hemi Mag, because we don't do anything else nowadays, do we? Oh, what an operation. What are you guys gonna see? Well, I'm gonna jam a new cam in there. Probably gonna put at least one of the heads on. Obviously the new lifters, everything else goes with that. Torque it down to spec, and let's just call it a day. And there's a timing cover in there. There's just like the list of stuff. It's funner to take apart than put back together, isn't it? So tune in, let's get to work, let's get that cam in there, and let's put one of the heads back on this wonderful joy to work on 6.1 liter Hemi. Let's get in the garage and do some work.
And just to show you what kind of parts you're gonna have to be getting into for this job, we got the camshaft right there. Remember, everything is Mopar too, so we're not gonna mess around with any aftermarket stuff here. The camshaft. We've got all brand new lifters, the newer design, also known as the Hellcat lifters. Got our new idler pulley. Right here we've got intake manifold gaskets, and below that the new head gaskets. Here are all your bolts. So you got your head bolts, 10 for each head. Those are not reusable, so we have to use new ones. The 5 smaller head bolts, apparently you can reuse those, but why chance it? So we've got new ones of those. Now we're going to gasket land. We've got our valve cover gaskets, right and left, and then finally our timing belt cover gasket. So yeah, folks, you really got to get into the old parts bin for this job. Oh, we got some work to do. Let's get to it. Time to slide our new OEM camshaft home. Now it should go in pretty easily. We do have all the lifters out, so that's usually a point of interference as we're trying to do this with the heads on. As you can see, we don't have any heads on, so we should be clear. The other thing you want to do is lube up this new camshaft with some really good engine assembly lube. Pretty big fan of this Redline engine assembly lube. It's pretty thick stuff, holds up pretty good, breaks down the oil, so it won't be an issue. So let's go ahead and lube up our camshaft really well. Slide it home. All right, here she goes. Nice and straight in, guys. You don't want to be banging around the sides, getting too crazy in there. Okay, that's a good spot to stop for now. Put some more lube on her. New cam installed. That went pretty well. Again, big advocate of having the heads off to do this job, because with the lifters you always risk them stopping the lobes from going by, and you got to constantly rotate and readjust. So that was easy peasy lemon squeezy, guys. All right, let's keep moving forward. We could probably put the cam phaser, everything back on, and button up this part of the engine. All right, it's time to put our backing plate back on, and I think this is going to be pretty challenging because we do have to use our chain, so we might be moving it at the same time. So again, we don't want to fall off that bottom sprocket, right? We want to keep our timing the same. So all right, let's try this. To tighten that cam bolt, we are going to go ahead and use our handy dandy 1/2 inch torque wrench. It's going to be 90 foot-pounds, so go ahead and set that where it needs to be. Perfect. 13 millimeter bolt. And what I've done is gone ahead and used a kind of breaker bar to hold the crank bolt and keep the engine from spinning. So go ahead and torque that. All right, with that set at 90 foot-pounds, we can go ahead and move forward with the rest of this operation. Well, now we're looking at the underside of the head. Here you can obviously see our valves, intake and exhaust. You can see our spark plug still in there. And also you can see a lot of carbon. Ta-da! So just like we did with the tops of the pistons, we are gonna go ahead and clean up these valve areas. There's some pretty good baked on carbon there. So I'm gonna kind of use a similar approach. I think Scotch-Brite and brake clean is going to be our solution again. So we'll go ahead and do that. You don't want to scour this area up too much. You definitely don't want to scour the valves or do any damage there. So nice and easy surface clean. We should be able to get this off. The other big thing we got to push to get, you can see some of this gasket material and discoloration here. You definitely want to get that off when you're putting your new head gasket on so you can have a proper fit. What do you guys say? How about some more carbon cleaning? Can I get a thumbs up? Let's do it anyway. All right, time for these new lifters. I want to show you guys what I'm working with here. So these are the newer style roller lifters. Now these are what people often refer to as the Hellcat lifters. So there's 4 in each one of these boxes. We have 4. We are replacing every lifter because of course we are. So I'm going to show you what to do to prep your lifters before you install them. We've got a little Tupperware container. You can use a container of your choice. We're then going to fill that container with some quality oil. I'm going to use just Mobil 1 0W40, which is what I use on the car. Time to put the timing cover back on with its brand new gasket. Cleaned it up quite a bit too. Alright, let's tighten some bolts on. And here's my layout for remembering where these bolts go. So everything you can do to make the job easier on yourself. The old memory isn't quite what it used to be. Let's get them in there. Moving right along here. Time for our head gasket installation. So here we go, official Mopar parts, of course, because that's all we use. Now something to know on this engine is both head gaskets are completely identical. Okay, there is one thing that's very important. You can see right here is the word up. Now you want to make sure you can read this. For when it's time to install, this will tell you have it oriented the correct way. If you want that good seal, if you want coolant oil mixing and leaking out, you can do it the other way. But a little advice, look for the word up and put that up. So obviously if we're doing driver side, we're doing the odd number cylinders, we're going to go ahead and install it just like so. Another common sense rule is it should align nicely over these 2 raised areas. Look at that, gorgeous. These are really quality because I did not have any head gasket issues and the original was on there for 140K, so I don't know too much about the aftermarket, but in this case factory Mopar parts seem to be the way to go. So great fitment there. You want to double check, make sure everything's good. Of course, mating surface has already been cleaned. Foolish not to do that in advance. And you see our beautiful cleaned up pistons. So what we're gonna... All right guys, pump the brakes there, turbo. We almost made a big mistake. As you can see, there's about 16 slots if you look around this engine that are missing something really important. How about those new roller lifters? I cannot believe I almost thought about putting the head on without putting those on. That would have sucked. So let's drop our new lifters in. Little advice, here's what I've been doing the past couple days. You can see that is 0W40 to match the engine's requirement, but these are the new lifters. They've been soaking in that. That's a good idea. You want them definitely well lubricated when you drop in there.
especially the first times they make contact with that new cam that's hiding under here now. So let's go ahead, put the lifters in, then we'll put our brand new yokes in, tighten that all up, and then we'll put the heads on. Yeah, we're crazy. We're a little crazy. Let's do this. I'm gonna put brand new gloves on because I don't want any kind of contamination on these. But you wanna wear gloves because you're gonna be dipping your fingers in some delicious oil. All right, let's try the head. I was gonna try from the side. Let's see if I can do that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got it, and that was zero fun. 100% zero fun. So, look how nice the head looks now. Remember when we took it off, how nasty it was? Really cleaned up. So, the secret was to angle it down and connect those two studs through the exhaust first, then bring the head into alignment. Now, I don't have the bolts on. I'll walk you through that step in just a moment, but I just wanted to tell you, if you do remove your heads with the headers on there, you're gonna have to really slide those studs through first and then manipulate the head to get back on the block. Great stuff. So let's go ahead. We're gonna torque our bolts all down to spec. Whew, still got a ways to go. Or let's finish up this side of the engine at least. All right, it's time to torque down this head. Now, in case you were wondering, of course, there is a sequence to do this. So we're gonna start right in the middle here. Usually you'll go in a sequence similar to this, 1, 2, then we'll go backwards and go the opposite way and kind of work your way outward. That's how we're gonna do that. And then these smaller bolts that go up here, we're gonna go ahead and do those from the center out after we get these bigger ones in. So the M12s are gonna be torqued to the following specs. First time we're gonna tighten them down to 25 foot-pounds each. Put them all in at that. Then we're gonna come back to them all to 40 foot-pounds. Then we're gonna give each one, of course keeping the same torque sequence throughout, we're gonna give it a 90-degree turn as we work our way out. Then we'll do these little guys up here at 15 foot-pounds, then 25 foot-pounds. And that will allow us to have a perfectly torqued head. Also, don't forget that we have 2 loose nuts on those exhaust studs, so make sure you tighten those down as well. But let's go ahead and tighten these up. And I think it goes without saying, but ensure you have a good torque wrench on you. So I've got my trusty 1/2-inch snap on here, super reliable clicker style, I like that. So go ahead and set that to the right setting for each time, and let's do this thing. And what I just realized is my 1/2-inch one doesn't go down low enough, so I'll be using my vintage 3/8-inch snap-on clicker style. This thing's an artifact, but I really love it, and I really like the clicker style torque wrenches. So let's go ahead and do it. Again, sorry to keep stopping, but here we go. These are the bolts we're going to use. These are the M12s. Brand new, Mopar. Don't mess around. Don't get something that you don't know the history of it. Make sure it's nice and clean. You can only use these once, so go ahead and get new ones every time. There we have it. Driver's side head installed, completely torqued down to spec, ready to rock and roll. So, whew, where does that leave us? Well, obviously, if we're going to continue with this side of the engine, we need to put our rocker arm assembly on there, as well as our push rods. That all needs to be done up. New valve cover gasket, valve cover slap back on. We also need to, as a whole, address the rest of the engine. We got all the accessories still hanging off. Intake manifold would be nice on there too. So, wow, it's Still got a lot of work to do, guys. This is quite an endeavor. So it's a good place to stop. Next time we're in here, we'll finish up this side of the engine, start putting everything back together, get this thing running again. It's been a while. It's been down for quite a bit, but here we go. All torqued down, ready to rock and roll. See you next time, guys, in the Auto Obsessive Garage.